I own Wildflower Farm with my family. We are on a 42-acre certified organic farm. For better or for worse, we are currently the only Black-owned certified organic farm in the state. We're working to try to change that. But I tell people this year we're trying to make it make sense with a S and a C, right? In order to get other people on board. There are many Black-owned farms in the state of New Jersey, most of which are already growing regeneratively or organically. And of course, New Jersey being the Garden State, there are a great number of small farms in general that are also growing this way. And the movement is only growing with young people deciding to go back to the land, both who have agricultural heritage and those who have been disconnected from it and are moving from the city and back to land plots or doing urban farming and things like that. So we focus a lot on teaching. I'm a certified New Jersey State teacher. I will always go back to education. Our farm produces certified organic produce and seeds, culturally meaningful food and seeds we preserve. And for those who don't know what culturally meaningful is, it's simply those foods that are traditionally meaningful to a given culture. Quite often, those are the things that are not found so much in grocery stores, such as for my family, turnips, mustards, collards. People say, yes, you have those things in grocery stores, but they don't realize there's more than one type of collard, which is the one you get in the grocery store, right? The Georgia. There are about 90 different varieties and they are in different colors, and you have even tree collards. There's so much. And then also things like fish peppers. We also do Afro-Caribbean crops such as callaloo and Scotch bonnet peppers and Jamaican pumpkin. We're also doing things we're getting more and more into Pan Pacific Asian crops and things like that, such as Bindi okra, in addition to many of the other African diasporic okras. But preserving the seed and the biodiversity to those foods is key. People don't realize if you lose an insect or a pest takes out that one variety of collard that everybody is so accustomed to looking at, you don't have any more if you don't preserve that biodiversity from different heritages that are already being consumed. So we focus a lot on preservation. Everything on our farm is soy free. We produce, I think I said chicken, duck, goose, turkey, pastured lamb. In addition to the education that we do a lot of education. That's my youngest, who's no longer that small. She's on her way off to college next year. But we teach families how to be self-sustainable and community sustainable. So we work with universities and individuals, youth programs. I mentor with Princeton University Seed Farm. We really sort of try to work with the community at large because people actually think self-sustainability means that you're doing everything yourself, and it doesn't. It means you're just capable of sustaining life on your property for your household. That doesn't mean that you're doing everything. So for example, we don't have beef or we don't have cows at all. I'm originally from Detroit. I don't milk anything. I don't shear anything. I'm not that country, right? I may never get that far. And why would I when I have amazing farmers nearby who have been doing beef for 35 years? So, that's not something that we do. Bartering and working together as a community is super important. That's actually my mother in our old suburban backyard where I first learned to start growing.
Oh,
This is sorghum. We do a lot of teaching on conservation and agriculture. In addition to the seed preservation, sorghum is your ultimate climate crop. It's really something we're trying to educate more and more people on. They call it Milo and feed it to animals in America and in a couple of Western countries, whereas most of the rest of the world actually eats it. It's a grain, it's a grass grain, grows like corn, with the exception that it doesn't have to be grown in blocks. It can be grown in a straight line, which makes a massive difference as to the space that it takes up. It has large seed heads that you cook like rice. It has different flavor profiles like different rices. It absorbs the flavor of whatever you put it in like rice. It tastes like a really yummy, chewy rice. It's drought resistant. We put it in the far field, water it twice. We never water it again. It's deep rooted. It's nitrogen fixing. The leaves are used in different cultures for soups and teas. The stalks are like sugar cane, so they're pressed for sorghum juice and sorghum syrup, and it's healthier than sugar. And the grain itself is naturally gluten free. So I don't know what more you want in a crop. And it can be grown even in the tightest of spaces because it doesn't have to be grown in blocks for pollination. And there are short varieties that our farm is working on specifically for home growers so that you do not need to be mechanized. This is the AgriHood program, one of the youth programs that we work with. Again, working on conservation. This is what we call free range, true free range. When people think about free range birds, this is what they're thinking. This is not normally what happens, but this is what we call true free range. Those are just some of the breeds that we do. Heritage birds, almost all of the breeds except these in particular meat birds are animals that are bred to raise their own because that's normally bred out of animals in order to produce meat birds and high egg layers. We actually deliberately breed our animals to be excellent mothers, excellent papas. They raise their own babies. They're dual purpose, with the exception of these particular types of meat chickens. And these are pastured free ranging, and that's simply because they won't get away from anything. We've got lots of predators. They'll just disappear if we let them out. They're happier sitting at the trough anyway. These are this is what we, again, true free range. You can see all of our chickens, all of our layer hens in the woods. They're woodland creatures. If you see something that says all vegetarian feed for chicken eggs, unless they're in a million bird house with no flies being vacuumed out, they're eating something, bugs, okay? So they just are natural omnivores, and they produce better eggs that way. They live that way. They're better off living in their best life in a natural environment. These are our ducks, our flock. You can see we keep a half-acre pond for appropriate care and habitat. People think ducks are dirty. They're not. They actually are the first ones to run for a bath as soon as you let them out of the coop in the morning. But if you treat them like chickens, yes, they're gross. They're not chickens. Low till, no till, again, conservation. We teach how to do it in a way that's sustainable. A lot of people who do no till and huge proponents used to till. And so we teach people that, yes, you, depending on the land, you might have to break it up the first time. And then we teach them how to tarp, how to conserve, how to not have to disturb that land again for a very long time, if ever. Again, we actually got rid of this ATV to minimize our carbon footprint, and we focus on land regeneration. That clean land picture that you saw used to be brown. That field used to be quite brown and depleted. We regenerated it using nothing but the birds moving down the field in a row to regenerate that pasture with fertile birds. This is Louise. We have two donkeys, Thelma and Louise. They protect our sheep. You never know if she's going to kiss me or bite me. They earn their names, but they do protect the sheep from coyotes and foxes. If you notice, there's no halters, there's no reins, no saddle. We don't ride them. We let them live their life and do as they do. We keep them brushed and keep their feet done. We also have two rules, and we'll get to humane care, but we have two rules in our farm that we created, two philosophies. One is the one bad day rule, and the other is the purple banding rule. The purple banding rule is a rule that we created to focus on our humane care. It means that for whatever reason, an animal is with us for life. They're never processed, never sold. That's what purple banded on our farm means. If we can't keep them for whatever reason, we work with a vegan sanctuary to make sure they have a long life somewhere else. We do vegan sanctuaries because unfortunately you have folks out there who say they're a sanctuary and what they're after is a free meal or a free profit. And so we even though we raise meat, we find there's value again in community partnership with people who don't. My attitude is if I want to save the animal and you want to save the animal, we can discuss the rest later. But that's the purple banding rule. The one bad day rule is our way of ensuring our animals only have one bad day when they're on our farm, the day they are processed or the day they leave. Other than that, we want them to have no bad days whatsoever. I created those two rules because it is my way of acknowledging the fact that we eat meat, that we produce meat, and the fact that we want to do it in as humane a way as possible and as painless a way as possible. And so I manage every animal that comes in, how they come in, and how they go out. I do all the lambing. We hatch chicks, or we might order chicks in, and we take care of them well. We give them the best life that we can, and whether they're here with us for the extent of the whole of their life, or if they are a terminal animal that's going to be used for meat, either way, we want to make sure that we give them the best that the very best that we can. This is some of the education we do for urban gardening and suburban gardening, the different methods that we teach to help people feed themselves and be sustainable in small spaces. This is just me enjoying some a photo of some stuff that came in. This is square foot gardening. This is the main method that we teach to beginners. It's an easy way to have high intensive growing in small spaces with minimal weeding. That's just some of the garlic, first thing I ever learned to grow. I'm a teacher with the Ira Wallace Seed School, which is a part of the Ujamaa Cooperative Farming Alliance. I'm a founding member of that alliance. We have been around for just over 5 years. We just became international. We have 10 seed hubs across the country. We now have one in the Caribbean, one in the UK, I believe, and we are working with and partnering with farmers in various parts of Africa. Some of them are fighting patent issues and GMO demands from their governments. Part of the reason that seed preservation is so important, besides biodiversity, is that quite often in crises, the farmers are the first to be burned out in the crises because we provide the food, no matter what side you're on. So one of the things that we do is we immediately preserve the seed when we see a crisis break out, and we preserve it. We sell it through Ujamaa Seeds. We share it amongst our many growers who grow it out for us. And then at the end of their crises, we rematriate that seed back to those communities so they can start again. And for example, the Ukrainian Zaria sunflower, when that crisis broke out, we had 3 farmers, including myself, get 10 seeds each. That flower is one of their main exports. It's a 45% sunflower oil, even though in the US they'll tell you the highest is 40, theirs is 45. And so what we did is 2 of our farmers lost those seeds. We were able to grow ours out to 3 to 4 pounds. We then share those seeds out again. And over the next 3 to 4 years, or by the end of that period, we were growing about 10 to 12 pounds on our farm. And that does not account for the past 3 to 4 years of other folks growing it out too. We sell it in small quantities so that big ag cannot turn around and take it, patent it, and then take it from those communities. This includes indigenous communities and many other communities, indigenous American communities, as well as many other communities around the world that are fighting many, many issues, including environmental injustice. And so by doing that and claiming prior artwork, we are able to prevent those seeds from being culturally appropriated by big ag, who could then disperse them, claim that genetic material. And then we're back down to having singular biodiversity, which is a problem on top of the cultural manifestations of those issues. So that's some of the work that we do with Ujamaa. Our main focus is growing beginning and new seed growers who can preserve those seeds with a focus on BIPOC communities and making sure that they get fair contracts. We give them fair contracts. We train them. The Ira Wallace Seed School is a school that we named after Mama Ira, who is like the godmother of seeds. And she was so inspiring and so supportive of Ujamaa that when we opened the seed school, we named it after her. I believe we had 170 in our last cohort. It was very big. So this is a very big field that people are coming into to learn how to preserve, either as a producer or as a community seed steward. This is just some of the conversations we have about making community spaces ADA friendly. We are not ADA compliant, but we are ADA friendly. ADA compliant is expensive, but we do focus on friendliness. This is just some of the work I did when I was food systems literacy coordinator at Princeton Public Schools. Some of the partnerships we had, we brought a salad bar into the middle school. And on day 1, we had 15% of lunch sales that would normally go to like the pizza bars, go to the salad bar. And we did that by partnering with food service to make sure that the lunch was equitable and free for our free lunch students. And we had our garden educators agree to put produce from the gardens into the salad bar, in addition to any extra purchases that the food service could make. And it was a parent who stepped up and donated the cost of the food bar. And so these kinds of, conglomerate partnerships is what's possible and I sat down at every lunch in every school for a while, asking kids what they wanted on the salad bar. So we weren't serving them something they wouldn't eat. And that is how we got 15% of sales day 1 going to the salad bar. So that's just again about making it ADA friendly. This is actually my nephew who has Asperger's, certified genius, and he's actually laying down to on the ground to examine the root system of the sweet potatoes. And what's interesting is this kind of ADA friendliness in a community garden can turn around and have someone like him, he's now in college, creating an entire irrigation system based on the design of a sweet potato, right? You never know what's possible if you give young people and people period the space to be who they are and to work where they are. Now my worker on the side is like, dude, I gotta harvest this stuff. But we teach them to be patient and create a culture of ADA friendly understanding, and that's super important. This is again another one. This is my baby girl who's not so baby anymore, but this was an elevated bed that we created for my grandmother and that we encourage other people to do for folks in who are either elderly and can't bend over or in wheelchairs in their spaces. What you'll notice in this is the aisles on the left are small. They get bigger as you go to the right because the main farmer that works with me is actually in a wheelchair. And his name is Robert. Robert's originally from Jamaica. But what we found is that he actually volunteered a year, and we were like, we need to give this dude a job because he was so productive. And what we encourage people to do is to look at the numbers. The reality is, yes, we lose a small amount of production on the space, but we gain so much more by having someone in there who can actually have access and do what they love to do. We actually changed the design of the farm. This is the medicinal garden being put in. Again, Robbie was a catalyst for this space because he could access all the way around those beds, which led to it being accessible to other people who couldn't necessarily get into the aisles. So again, we try to keep it friendly and accessible. Community days where there's no business. We just get hands in the soil. We encourage people to do that with their community members, just to create a safe space. And these are just some of the challenges. I won't go through all of these. We also have the Healing Waters Land Access Project on our farm, where we give over 3 acres of land to new and beginning farmers with a focus on BIPOC farmers in order to train them. We have 4 organizations as well as 2 universities that have done bits and pieces of this project to assist this project. We had Princeton grad students actually create an app so that the farmers in this project could communicate with mentors. University of Arizona actually created an entire irrigation system, not just for the project, but for the farm at large, so that it all came together. And then we have 4 organizations that are on board to train these farmers in addition to myself. And this is a part of a bigger food system issue. We actually are encouraging other landowners to take parts of their land to do this same kind of training so that we facilitate owner finance purchases of land because that relationship is already built. And we have one farmer who nearby, I say nearby, she's about an hour away, but she's here in Jersey. She has 110 acres and she's dedicated 7 of them to follow our lead on the Healing Waters Project. So we're encouraging more of that kind of food system change to get young folks onto the land. And this is just having a conversation about environmental justice and how we teach people to start their homesteads. And that's it. That was like the fastest I think I've ever run through. And I think I was still a little bit long.
And you know what? Quite frankly, to me, when you started talking, I knew I was not going to stop you. So you had the time. So I was planning to hear all of it as well. I'm sure everyone who's listening wanted to hear all of what you had to share. So thank you immensely. Oh my goodness. You
My
are doing
pleasure.
Is there
amazing work. I'm just, I have to come visit you all. I
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
is there
You're on
time
the
for
list.
one? Is there time for one question, Genevieve?
Oh, sure, sure.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so much, Tamia.
My
Just a
pleasure.
quick question about you having said that it's not easy for BIPOC, well, a lot for young farmers to get organically certified. It's almost not worth it. Is there any, just really quickly, is there any shortcutting that we could figure out in New Jersey so that they can get certified and that it is worth it? Because we need the healthy food and we need to know about what they're doing.
Yeah, so there are 2 main issues with that. One is land access, right? So having more landowners who are conservation conscious and who believe in regenerative agriculture, support young farmers getting in. The average small farm is 256 acres in America. I don't know about you all, but I don't know too many young folks who can buy 256 acres, right? So at 42 acres, we're micro. So having farm landowners, landowners who are willing to dedicate a small portion of their land to training new farmers, and then having that building that relationship to possibly doing owner financing is really key, because land access is a major barrier. To Nobody wants to pay for organic certification and then turn around and lose the land because they don't have a long-term lease, or they it's not their land and someone decides they want to do something else. So having longer term leases, at least 4 or 5 years, where they can put actual inputs in and get benefit from that. The top program supporting new and beginning organic growers has been really good. That is wonderful. So keeping people connected to the TOPP program,
That's great.
assisting people with the paperwork. The paperwork is really almost more of a barrier than the actual certification.
Mhm.
So the paperwork, especially for something like a seed producer, we do 70, I think we had 70 seed crops this year. And the idea of, luckily my certifier worked with me to do an SOP instead of having me list each and every seed. Because at that point, all of the hours it would have taken me, it may not have been worth it. So the other thing I would say is get to know your farmers, because many of them are already growing organically and regeneratively. So if you get to know them and talk to them, you can buy organic food, nutrient dense organic food, without it being certified. I am certified. I think being certified is great, but just know that it is possible to get that without it.
It's great. Thank you so much for that really valuable
Yeah,
info. We will,
my pleasure.
Yes. All right. I just want to say thank you again, Tamia. We really appreciate all the information you shared with us about what you're doing, and we're excited to even hear more. So thank
Good.
you all. We wish you continued success, and certainly would love to hear from you again. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.